Welcome back to Heart Path Podcast. I'm your host, Terra Kenzie Longacre, a modern day mystic, author, transformational and embodiment coach, and retreat leader. In each episode, we will explore topics around spirituality, empowerment, divine embodiment, resiliency of the human spirit, and heart-based business and beyond. In this episode, we are talking about inner alchemy and transformation. With alchemy, that's a medieval chemical science that had the philosophy around transmutation of one form to the other. So if you've heard of turning lead to gold, that would be transmuting base metals to gold. Alchemy was used a lot in more private sects or the secret societies about consciousness expansion. The Philosopher's Stone, if you've heard that, whoever possessed it would have immortality. And even in terms of using alchemy to find cures for diseases. When we talk about inner alchemy, that is a transformational process where all of the illusions of self are no more, they dissolve, and you become the embodiment of your authentic self. So the refining fires, if you will, that happen through inner alchemy are to strip away anything that is false to return you to your original state of purity or your most authentic self. And that happens in stages, of course. You're not going to experience this major transformation and inner alchemy of your being to authenticity overnight. And it is a process. It's an alchemical process that goes on internally. The catalyst for that. So I break it down into the 7 stages of inner alchemy. So we could call them the 7 sacred fires or the 7 stages of transformation, but I like the 7 sacred fires of transformation if we're talking about the refining fires. And the first one that you would go through is the awakening. And could we say there are layers to transformation? There's going to be layers to your alchemical inner journey. So that you could go through the awakening for one thing and then go through an awakening for another aspect of your life. So the awakening is the first fire that you go through. This is where you start to realize that you might not be as happy as you were before in your life. So the things that used to bring you comfort, security, happiness, peace, they're not cutting it for you, right? You're feeling like there's more, and you start to be curious with your life of, okay, so I'm here right now. So you're starting to look at your life from the viewpoint of you're somewhere that is not necessarily cutting it for you the way that it used to. So that's the first sacred fire that you would go through. And then after that awakening, you enter the next fire or the refining fire, which is the purification. So for transformation to happen, there has to be a willingness to look at your reality and see beyond the illusion. So this is the stage where you let go and break free from attachments of what you think you know. So in the awakening, the blinders have come off. You start to realize things aren't necessarily jiving the way that they were, but the purification is where you're actually looking at the reality of the situation, seeing through the illusion, and letting go. This is the intentional choice to let go. You see the illusion and you're choosing to let go and not hold on to it anymore. And once again, there are stages and layers to this, because you could be in the purification stage for a while. You could see the illusion, but you're not letting go. you could see where change is required, but you're still not letting go. So as you move through that and you break free from the attachment of what you think you know, because think about this, when you start to look at yourself and your life in a completely different way, or even realize, oh wow, things need to change. This isn't where you thought you would be. That in itself can be jarring. And then the purification process is the unlearning or the relearning. We could call it it's like the unlearning of everything that you've known before, so that you can be malleable to step into something new, to look at things new, to be a different way. The next sacred fire that you would go through in this refinement is then deconstruction. So when we were saying that there are layers to this, deconstruction is going to have you pulling back many layers of your self-perception and identity. So this is where you start to really uncover the truth of who you are at the core of your being, right? You've broken free from the illusion, you've let go. The deconstruction process of inner alchemy is finding your truth, uncovering your truth, becoming aware of who you truly are at the core of your being. After that, you enter another sacred fire of immersion. And this is where everything is fully coming into this place of the healing. And once again, there's going to be layers. There's going to be layers. But the immersion is where, okay, the illusion's been shattered. The illusion has been shattered. You've been living a lie, or you were sold a dream that's just not actually the reality, whatever it is. So the immersion, what we're saying, it's like entering into this deep healing. You are not avoiding, you're not escaping, you are being fully present with yourself, connected into your heart, and feeling all the feels. We could even say immersion is feeling to heal. There's going to be some, ugly crying, hysterical laughing, everything in between. We could say immersion at times could almost be like a dark night of the soul, but there could be positive moments in it. But at the same time, this is where everything comes to a head, and there's no more avoidance, no more gaslighting yourself. This is where you feel to heal. And then you enter into the next sacred fire. Remember, this is the refinement, the refining fires, integration. So this is the stage where there is a sense of renewal. There's more clarity on self. You're trusting the process. You're fully in it. You're in the integration. Everything's starting to click within you. It's like the rewiring stage. So you're trusting the process, and there's a complete vulnerability within the stage that are allowing these layers of the inner alchemy to unfold within you. So this are the things that you've learned about yourself, the lies, the truths. It's all starting to come into a cohesive state of being within you. It's where we're saying all of the pieces are coming together, connecting the dots. It's all coming together. But it would almost be as well, the integration is going to be a time for pause and rest. That's where rewiring is happening. The patterns are being reprogrammed. New patterns are being created as well. And then the next sacred fire in this refinement, then you go into rebirth. So what was before is no more. the you before, that was the you before, and this is you now. So you might find that you are redefining who you are and how you are and how to navigate in the world in this new self-expression. So through the rebirth, there's refinement and much more clarity is gained. You have a clear understanding or awareness that there's a before you and an after you. And the rebirth, like the rebirth is going into the after. It's like before and after. And then you go into the final sacred fire of transformation, into the heat of the refining fires, which is embodiment. This is where you walk the walk and talk the talk. Just because you go through the rebirth and you've got the before you and the after you, it doesn't mean that the after you patterns might not try to pop in every now and then. So this is where you're leading by example. This is where you're putting what you have learned to practice. This is where the healing is going to speak for itself. This is where the transformation is going to speak for itself. You don't even need to use words, because you're being the embodiment of the transformation. Like I said, there's going to be layers. So you could get to the embodiment stage and then find yourself in the purification stage of false identities or whatever that is. And the fires can be hot. Could we say that? The fires, the refining fires will bring you heat. But at the same time, they will bring transformation. You will be transformed. So thinking of that inner alchemy as this transformational process where everything that is not of your purest form, if we're talking about the refining fires, like the purest form, it is all going to be burnt away. And the awakening aspect of that, like where the journey begins, can sometimes be one of the most disruptive and celebratory stages of it all, the awakening, because everything that you knew, that you were living, you realized, oh, there's more. When we go back to 2012, that was a huge year for many people coming online where there was the spiritual awakenings. I talk to people all the time. It was like, yes, 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 yes. So when we're going through this inner alchemy, though, this journey of inner alchemy, you will have many awakenings. This is why we're saying there's layers to this and they run deep. But that's a bit of a formula, if you will, an alchemical formula to the process. And a curiosity, where do you find yourself currently? If you were to say that you are on this journey of inner alchemy, would you be at the awakening where you're just looking and thinking, okay, I'm not happy, things need to change? Like, is that you right now? Or is it the purification stage where you start to see these false realities that you've been clinging on to or thinking were true, but now the rose tinted glasses have come off? Is that you, where you're letting go of all of those illusions? Are you in the deconstruction phase, where this is actually looking at who you are, remembering who you are? Because we were saying it's uncovering who you are at the core of your being, and it's just like remembering who you are. It's returning to I'm hearing return to innocence. But it's returning to that state, the core truth of your being. Or are you in the immersion stage where you're in all the feels? Remember, immersion is like that deep healing time where you're not avoiding, you're not ignoring, you're fully present. There's probably some ugly tears going on, or questioning your sanity. That could be happening, but you're feeling all the feels. What about integration, where you're feeling more comfortable and confident with where you've been and where you're going, and you're ready to step into this new iteration of self, which would be rebirth? Are you there? Are you rebirthing? Are you becoming someone new? Are you stepping into the world as a new expression? Is that starting to form? Or are you in the embodiment, where you are walking the talk, where you are the living, breathing example of that transformation? So once again, like, transformation happens in layers. It's not going to happen overnight. Some of it can. Transformations could be very outward appearing, so you could see a physical transformation, but the inner alchemy we're talking about is what's going on the inside. It's like starting from the inside out. Thank you for listening to today's episode. And before you go, I wanted to offer you an opportunity for reflection and contemplation. Was there anything in this episode that left you feeling inspired or that you can use moving forward? If so, what was it? Was there something about this episode that made you feel uncomfortable or charged, perhaps even triggered? Was there anything that we discussed in this episode that left you feeling seen and understood? Taking a moment to bring those reflections into the sacred space of your heart or journal, and you can share your reflections with me on social media. I'd love to hear how this episode impacted you. And if you did enjoy this episode, please share with a friend, like, subscribe. I appreciate you. Lots of love. Mwah.